Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talk with Hana. I'm so happy you're joining us today. Whether you're listening on your morning commute, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we are so glad you're here.
Hey, great to be back. And honestly, today's topic is one I get really excited about because it's something that actually changed the way I speak English. Like, it made a huge difference for me personally.
Same for me. You know, when I was learning English, I always felt like I knew the grammar, I knew the vocabulary, but something was still missing. I could read and write fine, but when it came to actually speaking fast and naturally, I froze.
Oh, I totally get that. A lot of learners go through that exact same thing. You study for years and then someone talks to you quickly in real life and your brain just goes completely blank.
Exactly. So today we're going to talk about the secret method that will help you speak English faster and more naturally. And it's not about memorizing more vocabulary or studying more grammar rules.
That's the exciting part. This method is actually about training your brain and your mouth to work together. We're going to talk about something called chunking, learning English in phrases and groups of words, not just one word at a time.
And by the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly what chunking is, how to use it every single day, and why it's the fastest way to go from sounding hesitant to sounding confident and fluent.
Before we dive in, we have a question for you. Have you ever felt nervous when speaking English, even though you know the words? Leave a comment and tell us. We really do read every single one.
We love hearing from you. And if this is your first time here, please like this video and subscribe to Talk with Hana so you never miss a new episode. We post new content every week to help you improve your English step by step.
Okay, let's get into it. Ready? Let's go.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is chunking? Chunking means learning and using groups of words together as one unit instead of building a sentence word by word in your head.
Think of it this way. When a native speaker says something like, "to be honest with you," they don't think about each word separately. They don't think, "to be honest with you." It comes out as one smooth phrase, one chunk.
Right, and that's the secret. Native speakers don't speak word by word. They speak in chunks. Phrases they've heard and used so many times that their brain stores them as one complete piece.
Here are some really common English chunks. I was wondering if, that's a chunk. It depends on, that's a chunk. As soon as possible, chunk. What do you mean? Chunk. I have no idea. Chunk.
When you learn these as complete phrases, you don't have to think about grammar while you're speaking. The chunk already has the grammar built in. You just pull it out and use it.
Exactly. So instead of thinking, I need the subject, then the verb, then I need to conjugate it correctly, you just think, what do you mean? And it comes out perfectly every time.
I remember when I first started doing this, I stopped trying to translate word for word from my first language, and I started collecting phrases instead. It felt so different, so much easier.
That's such a great point about translation. When we translate word for word, our brain has to do so much work, and that's what causes those long pauses and that hesitation.
Chunking removes that problem because you're not translating anymore. You're just retrieving a ready-made phrase, fast, natural, easy.
Okay, let's look at the basic formula for building your own chunk collection. First, hear a phrase in a natural context, in a movie, a podcast, a conversation. Second, notice it. Don't just let it float past you. Write it down. Third, use it yourself as soon as possible, in a sentence, in a conversation, in a comment.
And here's something I want you to try right now. Think of one phrase in English that you hear a lot but never actually use yourself. Something like, that makes sense, or I guess so, or not really. Can you think of one?
Pause the video if you want. Take a second, because just noticing a chunk is the first step. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's when your speaking starts to change.
So to summarize this first section, chunking is about learning phrases as complete units. It takes the pressure off your grammar brain during speaking, and it's the #1 reason native speakers sound fast and fluent.
Wonderful. So now we know what chunking is. Next, let's talk about how to actually use chunks in real conversations, and we're going to make it very practical.
Okay, so now that we understand what chunks are, let's talk about how to actually use them when you're speaking, because knowing them is one thing, using them automatically is another.
Right, and this is where a lot of learners get stuck. They know the phrase in their head, but in the middle of a conversation, they can't find it fast enough.
So here's what you do. You build what I like to call a phrase bank. Just like a word bank, but instead of single words, you're collecting full phrases in short sentences.
And you use these phrases in specific situations. For example, when you need time to think, you have chunks ready. That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. I'm not sure actually.
Those are great. Instead of just going silent or saying, you use a thinking chunk. And here's the beautiful thing. While you're saying the thinking chunk, your brain is actually buying itself time to find the real answer.
That's so smart. Native speakers do this all the time. Well, to be honest, that's a chunk that gives you 2 seconds. You know what I mean? That's a chunk that keeps the conversation going.
Let's compare formal and informal versions of the same idea. Say you want to say you don't understand something. Informal, I have no clue. I'm totally lost. Wait, what? Formal, I'm afraid I don't quite follow. Could you clarify that? I'm not entirely sure I understand.
Both sets are chunks. You learn both, and then you choose the right one depending on who you're talking to. A friend? I'm totally lost. Your boss? Could you clarify that, please?
Now here's a quick practice. I'm going to give you 3 situations, and I want you to think about which chunk fits best. Ready?
Situation 1. Your friend tells you something surprising. What chunk would you use?
Something like, no way, or are you serious? Or I can't believe that. All great chunks for surprise. Short, natural, instant.
Situation 2. You need to disagree politely. What chunk do you reach for?
I see your point, but, or I'm not sure I agree, or actually, I think. See how these chunks let you disagree without sounding rude? The chunk does the politeness work for you.
Situation 3. You want to change the topic. What do you say?
Anyways, speaking of, or, oh, that reminds me, or, by the way, these are transition chunks. They move the conversation smoothly from one thing to another.
Here's my tip. Every day, try to learn just 3 new chunks. Not 30, just 3. Write them down. Say them out loud 5 times. Then try to use at least one in a real conversation or in a comment that day.
And go ahead and write one of your favorite chunks in the comments right now. It can be one you already know or one you just learned from this episode. We want to see your chunk collections growing.
So, to review section 2, use chunks by building a phrase bank. Have ready-made phrases for common situations like agreeing, thinking out loud, and changing topics. Learn both formal and informal versions. And practice just 3 new chunks a day.
All right, now we know what chunks are and how to use them. But how do you practice them so they become truly automatic, so fast that you don't have to think at all?
This is the part I love because the practice method is actually really fun. The first technique is called shadowing, and it's incredibly powerful.
Shadowing means you listen to natural English, a podcast, a TV show, a YouTube video, and you repeat exactly what you hear at the same speed with the same rhythm and tone, like a shadow following the person.
And here's why it works for chunks. When you shadow, you're not just hearing words, you're feeling how words naturally go together. You start to hear gonna instead of going to. You hear wanna instead of want to. You hear kinda instead of kind of.
And those reductions, those natural ways of joining sounds, they become part of your chunk collection. So instead of sounding like a textbook, you start to sound like a real person.
The second technique is called chunk conversations. You pick a topic, let's say talking about the weekend, and you only allow yourself to speak in chunks you've already studied. So you can't use random words. You have to actually pull from your phrase bank.
That sounds challenging, but it forces you to use the phrases you've been collecting. And the more you force yourself to use them, the more natural they become.
The third technique is recording yourself. I know, most people hate listening to themselves, but it is genuinely one of the most effective ways to improve.
When you record yourself talking for even 1 minute, you can hear exactly where you pause, where you search for words, and where you naturally use chunks versus where you build things word by word. You can literally hear the difference.
And here's an encouraging thing. After just 2 or 3 weeks of practicing chunks daily, most learners say that their speaking feels smoother. Not perfect, but smoother, more confident.
Let's do a little mini practice right now. I'm going to start a sentence, and I want you to finish it with a chunk. Ready? I really enjoy learning English because...
Go ahead, say it out loud right now. Don't just read it in your head. Actually speak the words. Your brain learns so much faster when your mouth is involved.
Another one. The most difficult thing about speaking English for me is...
And one more. One thing I want to improve is...
Those are such great prompts. And here's the thing, if you actually said those sentences out loud just now, you just practiced chunking. I really enjoy is a chunk. The most difficult thing about is a chunk. One thing I want to is a chunk.
You're using chunks all the time without realizing it. Our job is just to make it conscious and deliberate so you can grow your collection faster.
Drop your answers to those 3-sentence starters in the comments below. We genuinely want to read them, and it's great speaking practice too.
Okay, to wrap up, practice chunking every day through shadowing, chunk conversations, and recording yourself. Make it conscious, say things out loud, and remember, even short practice sessions every day beat one long session on the weekend.
Okay, let's talk about mistakes. And I want to start by being honest. We both made all of these mistakes when we were learning, so please don't feel bad if any of these sound familiar.
Mistake number 1, memorizing chunks but never using them. This is so common. You write down 50 phrases in a notebook and then the notebook sits on your shelf. The phrases never leave the page.
Right, and the reason this happens is that the phrases don't feel natural yet. You haven't heard them enough or said them enough for your brain to trust them. So when it's time to speak, your brain reaches for the old habit, translating word by word, because that feels safer. Right, and the reason this happens is that the phrases don't feel natural yet. You haven't heard them enough or said them enough for your brain to trust them. So when it's time to speak, your brain reaches for the old habit, translating word by word, because that feels safer.
The fix is simple but requires action. Use each chunk within 24 hours of learning it. Write a comment, send a text, say it out loud to yourself in the mirror. Just use it once and your brain starts to believe it belongs in your speaking.
Mistake number 2, learning chunks out of context. This is when you see a list of phrases online and you memorize them, but you've never actually heard them used by a real person in a real situation.
That can lead to using phrases in the wrong context. For example, someone might learn the chunk with all due respect and then use it in a casual conversation with a friend. But that phrase is very formal. It sounds strange in an informal setting.
Always learn chunks in context. See how they're used, who says them, when, to whom. The context tells you everything about when to use and when not to use a chunk.
Mistake number 3, trying to use chunks that are too long or too complicated before you're ready. Some learners think that longer phrases sound more impressive, but if the chunk is too long, you can't say it smoothly yet, and it actually sounds worse than a simple short phrase.
Start with short, high-frequency chunks. Things like, I think so, not at all, you're right, I'm not sure, that sounds good. Short, common, useful. Then build up to longer ones as your confidence grows.
Mistake number 4, giving up because the chunks don't sound natural yet. Some learners try chunking for a week and then say, it doesn't work, I still sound awkward. But 1 week is not enough. Your brain needs time to rewire.
Think about learning to drive a car. At first, every movement is conscious and effortful. Signal, mirror, turn, accelerate. You think about each thing separately. But after months of practice, you just drive. You don't think about each action. Chunking is exactly the same.
So be patient with yourself. Every language learner sounds a little awkward at first. That's not a sign that it's not working. It's a sign that you're learning.
You've got this. Seriously, you do.
Keep going, keep practicing, and keep adding to that phrase bank. The fluency will come. It really will.
Okay, it's time for our favorite part, interactive practice. Let's do a choose the correct sentence activity. I'll give you 2 options, and we want you to think about which one sounds more natural.
And please, say the sentences out loud. Don't just read them in your head. Speaking them makes a huge difference.
Situation 1. You want to agree with someone. Option A. I am having the same opinion as you. Option B. I totally agree with you. Which sounds more natural?
Option B, right? I totally agree with you is a chunk. It's natural. Option A is technically correct grammar, but no native speaker says it that way.
Situation 2. You want to say you're busy. Option A. I have much work that I must do. Option B. I've got a lot on my plate right now. Which one sounds like a real person?
Option B, I've got a lot on my plate is an idiomatic chunk that native speakers use all the time, and it's actually a great one to add to your phrase bank today.
Situation 3. Your friend asks how you are. Option A. I am functioning well, thank you. Option B. I'm doing great, thanks. How about you? Which would you say?
Option B every time. And notice how option B ends with how about you? That's a chunk that keeps the conversation going. It's socially smooth.
Option 4. You want to ask for more time to think. Option A. Give me a moment. I am thinking. Option B. Just give me a second. Let me think about that. Which feels more comfortable?
Option B, just give me a second, is a perfect delay chunk. It's polite, natural, and buys you time. Put that one in your phrase bank immediately.
Now, here's your challenge. In the comments, write a short paragraph, 4 or 5 sentences about your day or your week, and try to include at least 3 chunks. Let's see how many you can use.
There's no perfect score here. It's not a test. It's practice. And practice, even imperfect practice, is exactly how fluency is built. Every chunk you use today is one step closer to speaking naturally.
Wow, what a great episode! I feel like we covered so much today. Let's bring it all together. We talked about the secret method to speak English faster, and that method is chunking.
That's right. 3 big things we covered today. Number 1, what chunking is. Learning English in ready-made phrases instead of single words so you can speak without building sentences from scratch every time.
Number 2, how to use chunks in real conversations. Building your phrase bank, using chunks for common situations like agreeing, thinking out loud, and changing topics, and learning both formal and informal versions.
Number 3, how to practice chunking every day. Shadowing, chunk conversations, recording yourself, and using each new phrase within 24 hours of learning it.
And we talked about the most common mistakes too, like never actually using the chunks you learn or giving up too soon. Remember, it takes time for new habits to form in your brain. Be patient with yourself.
Here's a question for you to reflect on. Which part of speaking English feels hardest for you right now? Is it speed, finding the right words, feeling confident? Let us know in the comments. Your answer might shape our next episode.
And if today's episode helped you, please give it a like. It really helps Talk with Hana reach more learners just like you. Share it with a friend who's also working on their English. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode.
We are always here cheering you on. Learning a new language is not easy, but you're doing it. You showed up today. You listened, you practiced, you thought about your own speaking. That is something to be really proud of.
Every single episode you listen to, every comment you write, every phrase you practice out loud, it all adds up. Trust the process. Keep going. You are so much closer to fluency than you think.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. It means the world. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and we will see you next time.